Hey y'all, this is Becky here. We are going to do something a little different today. We are going to work with our kettlebells, okay? So hopefully you guys have some light ones at home. If you're new, just grab a 5-pound club bell. You can do one, you can do two if you have two. If you've been doing this stuff for a while, you can go and do 10 or 15. I probably wouldn't do too much more than that though. So this is obviously going to be geared more towards the beginners. So yeah, if you're new to club bells, this is what they look like. Okay, just a little weighted end with a handle. There's usually some type of grip or knob at the bottom here, so when you swing it, it just doesn't go flying out of your hand. Okay, for demonstration purposes, I am using a 5-pound club bell, and I have a set. Okay, if you don't have two, that's fine. You can just use one. So if you've done kettlebell swings before, there's not going to be too much of a difference with the club bell, other than that it's a club bell instead of a kettlebell, okay? You can hold it wherever you want to hold it. If it's hard, you can choke up on it. So as you're swinging, you're closer to the weighted part. If you want to make it a little bit harder, you can choke down to the very end. That will make it a little more challenging. Okay. Go slow with this stuff if you've never done it. It can be slightly challenging. And I know a couple people that I've trained with this already. Their comments are it screws around with your brain. So you'll notice that maybe one side's really good. And then when you switch to the other side, it's like, I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do? It's like the one side doesn't work. So I like to do these exercises because it actually kind of gets both parts of your brain firing. A lot of times we are like one-sided or one-armed dominant. So this will kind of help to bring both sides of your brain together, okay? So what we're going to do first is just kind of get used to how it swings. So if you're familiar with the videos that I did where we talk about hip hinging, aka deadlifting. Again, hip hinging is what you use when you do kettlebell swings. So if I show you from the side here, if I was doing a kettlebell swing, my hip hinge is going to look the same. Okay, I'm just going to get my kettlebell here for reference. Again, if I'm kettlebell swinging, nothing changes. I'm still hinging at the hips. My back is still flat. I still have a tripod foot. And I'm still squeezing my glutes to get the momentum of the club bell to go up. Okay? It's not me actually swinging with my arms and lifting it up. Okay? You can actually feel the weight bring you down, and then your butt is kind of popping the club bell up, just like you do with a kettlebell, okay? So again, we're just hip hinging back and forth. I'm not doing this, okay? I'm not squatting. You know, sometimes you see people do kettlebell swings like that. They're way too squatty. Okay, we don't want that. Or you'll see this. We don't want that either. So nice and easy. Just kind of get used to the momentum. You can kind of feel it bring you down. And then you got your glutes to pop it back up. Okay, everyone good with that so far? Good. All right, now we're going to take that a little step further. So we're swinging. Okay, this is step one, just swinging. Step two, we're going to come up. So now we're combining step one with step two. Okay, I'll show you from the front here. Swinging, hinging, coming up and stabilizing. So now you got to use your wrists, shoulders, rotate cuff. You want to keep the kettlebell or the club bell from tilting all over the place, okay? After a while, you kind of find where your sweet spot is. Okay, so that's step 1 and step 2. Now, step 2, we're going to break down a little bit more before we go into step 1, 2, and 3, okay? So step 1, swinging. Step 2, stabilizing. Step 2 to 3 is here to here, okay? So I'm literally, it almost kind of feels like I'm taking a sword out of my back. You know, back in the day, the Vikings, they'd walk around with swords strapped to them. They'd take it out. Okay, so I'm kind of doing the same thing. I'm stabilized, and then I'm back. If mobility is an issue, just go back as far as you can. So if you're only going to here, that's fine, okay? If you can come through and go all the way back, that's even better. Again, you're just doing what you can do at this point, okay? So we did step 1, we showed you step 2. Step 2 is going to transition into step 3, okay? Now we're gonna put all 3 together. So it's basically gonna be a clean, if you wanna think about it, if you're someone who does like kettlebell cleans or barbell cleans. So again, I'm taking my grip, okay, I'm gonna swing. So that was step 1. Step 2 goes into 3. Okay. I'll show you from the side. And again, I'm not really forcing the club bell. I'm kind of just going with it. So as the weight brings me forward, I come forward, okay? As I swing up with my glutes, it pops the kettlebell, or I'm sorry, the club bell up. Okay? That essentially is our club bell cleans. Now, if you want to work a little bit more on the side to side, maybe you're someone who's been told they need to get some more lateral movement in their life because everyone walks forward all the time, forward and backward. We could just get into a wider grip and then again, shift side to side. And you'll start to feel kind of like a pendulum. The weight goes one way, you counterbalance the other way. Okay, so right now I have my knees straight. Depends on what you want to work on. You can do it with your knees bent. You can go side to side, work on foot engagement, okay? Our pronation into supination like I've showed you in other videos. And then same thing, come up into part 2. This is also how we can start to kind of get a little bit of rotation. You can kind of sense if I had a golf club in my hand, okay? Basically doing the same thing. I will show you what my feet are doing. So if I had one kettlebell, or I'm sorry, club bell, so now I have to pivot with my feet, okay? If I go back to straight like I was doing, slightly bent, now you can see how my feet have to go back and forth into pronation, supination. and then come back into our kind of resting position. And then we can start getting our feet a little more engaged. Okay. So those are some basic ones that I like to give everyone to do just to kind of get used to what the club bell is going to feel like. There is another one I will show you guys. It's a little bit more complicated, okay? So this is going to require a little bit more thought. All right. So basically we are going back and forth in a circular motion, okay? So I'm pivoting over, taking it out, letting it roll, coming back up, letting it rest, rotating, okay? So let me show you again what my feet are doing because we're back to the pivoting with our feet. Okay, so I'm pivoting, coming up. So if you have some gait things you need to work on, maybe you've been told you don't get into propulsion enough, okay? Maybe it's that you don't get into stance phase on the opposite foot, okay? Again, things to work on. You'll start to feel how your hips have to go from internal to external rotation, how your core starts to get involved. Okay, so this is one of these exercises where, again, it's a little harder for me on the other side. So I'm going to show you, hopefully. Might take me a minute to get my brain going, okay? Yep, it's already taken me a minute to get my brain going, so let me do the other side first. So after a while, then the new neural pathways are starting to fire. So nothing changes. I'm still pivoting with my feet. Okay, I'm still letting that bell kind of come up and rest on me, just like we did in step 2 and 3 in our first unit. Okay, and again, this is not me taking the club bell through. This is me following the club bell. Okay, so now I'm rotating back. I'm letting the club bell drop. Brings me back up. Letting the club bell drop. Following it back up. Okay. Again, if you don't have full range of motion in your shoulder, just do what you can do if it's just resting it here. Okay. At this point, we just want you to get used to using the club bell. Okay. It's weighted a little bit different than a kettlebell. It's got a handle on it, so you're going to have to use your grip a little bit more, your forearms a little bit more. It's going to get a little bit more intense in the shoulder. So use caution if you have shoulder issues or if you know that you got a really weak rotator cuff. Okay. I think that's all I'm going to do for you guys today. Those are some good starts for your exercises, so I don't want to overload you. What I notice with people is if I start giving more than like 3 or 4 things, sometimes people's brains just fry. So let's review. First is just the hip hinge. Okay, momentum, squeezing our butt. Then we're coming into part 2, where we're just coming up into that stabilization. Then we come all the way up into the clean. Okay. Then we did just side to side with our legs straight, legs bent. And then we did the rotation. Okay. All right. Practice that stuff, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Hit me up. You can message me, email me. I have like way too many ways for people to get a hold of me, but this is what I'm here for, okay? Hopefully next time we work on club bells, you guys will be experts at that, and then we can do a little bit more complicated stuff, okay? All right, so I'll see you all next Wednesday, same time, same place, and have a good week.